How goes it all? Welcome back to Patterson Properties. Hopefully, you guys having a great and exceptional day. Usually, I only do one video a week, but this subject matter today is really trending, and I just had to talk about it now instead of waiting till next week. And it's near and dear to my heart because regardless of the situation, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate wholesaler. That's what Patterson Properties are all about. All right. But at the end of the day, I know that the past couple of years, it's been very hard. Heck, for a lot of even generations, it's been very hard for people, especially in the African American community, to purchase real estate. Even in the Hispanic community, to purchase real estate because of things known as credit score or not enough income or not enough access to capital or just not enough savings and whatnot, having bad credit scores. So many freaking things that have been in people's way for them to not be able to, thrive in the economy because one of the biggest ways people create wealth is via real estate, whether it's personal real estate, investment property, commercial real estate, land. Wealth, a lot of wealth is created via real estate. Corporations know it, politicians know it, state and local governments and federal governments know it. Nonprofit businesses know it. There's money in real estate. It's not much of a debate and whatnot. There's a lot of money in owning real estate and renting out real estate, even leasing real estate. You have people who have event spaces and whatnot, and then a lot of times they end up not actually they actually end up making money because they have an event, but then and they don't even own the space, but then they have other vendors at the event that pay a certain fee so that they can either pay for the event itself, and then they make profit off of other vendors, or they make profits off of the ticket sales and things of that nature. Things of that nature. Then, of course, people put donations out there all at the same time. Airbnb, that model is really the most effective for people who do not own real estate, but people who rent real estate, and they have an agreement with landlords to where they're renting out or subleasing a short-term subleasing a space for a couple of days or a couple of months or whatnot to other people. And they have a legal understanding, they have a contract, in place and things of that nature. So real estate, there's money in real estate, and there always has been, and always freaking will be. All right. So this is the subject matter. I just had to get that off my chest about my passion about real estate and people owning it. Bank of America tests no down payment mortgages for minority communities. Prospective borrowers evaluated based on their payment history. Banks long accused of discriminating against minority buyers are now actually in the test phase, and this was actually announced yesterday. All right, bank, and I will read this verbatim because I love this, the no down payment option, because majority of the times, even if somebody's credit is on point, they still don't have enough money for the down payment, or even so, for my veterans, even certain people that might be in a bad situation, even if they did a great job of serving the military and serving their country and whatnot, they still might not even have enough money for the closing costs, because especially nowadays with high interest rates, with overpriced real estate, with crazy rents, with crazy situations in regards to inflation and whatnot, it's very, very hard. And I think this is a brilliant thing. I hope other banks follow suit with something to this effect, and I'm gonna go from there. But I'm gonna read this verbatim. Bank of America Corporation started a trial program aimed at helping first-time home buyers in Black and Hispanic neighborhoods by offering mortgages that don't require down payments, closing costs, or minimum credit scores, all considered long-time obstacles to narrowing the gap between white and minority ownership. Customers using this program will be evaluated for a home loan, not by credit scores, but rather factors such as their history of making rent, utility, phone, and auto insurance payments on time. So I will read that again. Customers using the program you will be evaluated for a home loan, not by credit scores, but rather factors such as history of making rent payments, utility, phone, and auto insurance payments on time. So if you make those kind of payments to your rent, your landlord, your utilities, your phone, your auto insurance payments on time, you need to show a history of that. Bank of America said in a statement Tuesday, which was yesterday, because today's Wednesday, that the program will be tried out in certain predominantly Black and Hispanic areas, specifically in these cities. I'm gonna read this slowly. Dallas, Texas, Detroit, Michigan, Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina. Bank of America wouldn't disclose the plans, size of the program, which may be expanded later on in other cities and whatnot. And I think this is a great thing, especially in cities like Miami, in Los Angeles, because the housing market in Miami and Los Angeles is ridiculous as far as the cost of living. There's not, they have a short amount of housing. They've all, both cities are overcrowded, especially Los Angeles. And the price of homes in Miami and Los Angeles is not that big of a difference. The only difference is now, it's basically not that big of a difference as it used to be. A long time ago, it used to be way cheaper to live in Los Angeles. I mean, to live in Miami compared to living in Los Angeles, but it's a totally different time frame in Los Angeles. In Miami, gentrification all over the place. LA's had a housing problem for decades. LA's homeless problem is ridiculous. And, and obviously the taxes are insane as well. So they have a lot that they got to work on, and I just leave it at that. But I'm glad that this is happening. But even in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's a city that's being gentrified. So even if you're a person that's moving from New York or New Jersey or Philadelphia and you're moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, you better make sure your money's right. That's the thing. Like, gone are the days where you can just think, unless you're moving to a small town where nothing's happening. If you're moving to a major metropolitan city, you have to be about your business. You have to be ensuring that you're making money moves. You better have savings. You better have access to capital, access to credit, things of that nature. Another reason why I can see Bank of America doing this, because I know they're doing this in partnership with FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is a federal entity that insures the banks and whatnot. But I can see them utilizing this because not only will this be great so there's all, hey, it's America, it's a capitalist society. There's always I give you something, I get something in return. Do your own research before you even go forward if you're watching this video, because I'm not giving out financial advice. Contact Bank of America, see if you qualify, if you live in those specific cities of Dallas, Texas, Charlotte, North Carolina, Detroit, Michigan, Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida. Do your research. But I will say that this is a great incentive, because if you're not, this will help Bank of America get more customers. Think about it. Bank of America, they'll be able to have more customers in regards to not only people paying rent and whatnot. I mean, getting a mortgage with them and whatnot, but obviously they'll have more banking customers, and people will probably open up a bank account with them, one, if they don't already have one. And another thing is to utilize the credit cards all at the same time. Heck, I'm a Bank of America credit card holder. So that is just something to think about and take into consideration. I think that's how it's going to benefit them all at the same time. And then those specific cities, especially in places like Miami and LA, to make it easier for people to purchase homes and whatnot, and be able to become homeowners. And then that works out for the banks. That's Bank of America, that has a vested interest in those cities. It works out for the insurance companies that have a vested interest in those cities. And it definitely works out for the cities in itself, because they're getting the personal property taxes paid for the new homes all at the same time. That is the beautiful trickle down theory. That's another thing that people don't, because when you're able to buy a house, that's the contributing factor you're putting into the U.S. economy and whatnot. You're paying bank money, interest. You got to pay for housing insurance and whatnot, because by law you have to have homeowners insurance, and then you're paying the personal property taxes, which every city and county and state in America has that and whatnot. I think West Virginia is the only place where you don't have personal property taxes and whatnot. But who wants to live in West Virginia? I'm just cracking a joke. But anyways, this is very interesting. The Charlotte-based bank is going to beyond credit scores, so people can use other mechanisms to define the credit worthiness, buy a home, and build their wealth. AJ Barkley, head of neighborhood and community lending at Bank of America, said that in an interview. While the U.S. home ownership saw its biggest annual increase ever during the pandemic, it remained lower than a decade earlier for African Americans and Black and Hispanic buyers were more likely to be rejected for mortgages than their white and Asian counterparts, according to the National Association of Realtors. And I'm reading this verbatim. Approval rates for homeowners looking for lower payments have also varied by race, with Bank of America approving 66% of Black refinancing applicants and 78% of white ones in 2020, according to the data compiled by Bloomberg. So, and this is another thing, especially Wells Fargo's rejected half of its Black applicants mortgage refinancing boom. So a lot of these institutions have had situations where they've had discriminatory practices, and it's there in black and white, whether you like it or not. Even the United States Justice Department has hammered lenders for practices that have discriminated against minority borrowers in the wake of George Floyd's murder in 2020. Banks and other corporations vowed to do more to fight racial inequities. The Bank of America's new offering is on top of the $15 billion program that offers down payment and closing cost assistance to lower income consumers, and another program that has a goal of providing $15 billion and more in mortgages to low and moderate income buyers through May 2027. So this is, if you live in these specific areas, Detroit, Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, this is your opportunity to look into it, do your homework, and go from there. You know, I can't put it any other way. Do your homework. Talk to a real estate agent. Talk to a loan officer, specifically who works for Bank of America, and have that conversation. Open up the door. Open up the chance to network and be able to go from there. And this is, I know that this program is specifically for people that are buying homes. This is not for people that are trying to house hack and people that are trying to get another investment property. So now, obviously, some people could buy a home and rent out a bunch of rooms, like a couple of buddies of mine, and have people pay the mortgage off for them, and maybe let a couple of years pass by, and then you save up enough money, get your credit right to the point where you can buy another property. That's another thing to take into consideration. But am I advocating for that? Absolutely not. Do your homework, do your research. I'm not giving out financial advice, and go from there. Because at the end of the day, and this is the last part I'll read before I go, while no down payment mortgages potentially make it easier for lower income borrowers to buy homes, they are not without risk. If the housing market were to slump, homeowners without a significant amount of equity may have little incentive to keep paying their mortgages, hurting their credit scores and sticking lenders with foreclosed homes. Under the Bank of America program, the lender is giving home buyers down payment grants of $10,000 to $15,000 so they have immediate equity in their homes. Lower down payment loans perform worse, all things being equal, but all things are not equal, said Lori Goodman, an Institute Fellow at the nonprofit Urban Institute, speaking generally about such programs and not Bank of America in particular. She stated there is no way to offer these loans where it isn't as risky, where other factors can more than compensate for a low down payment. And there is an argument, she added, for taking on slightly higher probability of default in order to give people the opportunity to build wealth. Another thing to take into consideration, whenever you're investing in something, there's a risk, okay? Whenever you get a loan, there's a risk, okay? Car loan, student loan, whenever you spend your money on your credit card and whatnot, there's always a risk, because what if something happens to you? You can't perform your job anymore. Therefore, you can't pay your freaking credit card. I remember I got laid off one time, and luckily I had a significant amount of savings. Instead of me paying off my credit card immediately, I just paid it off, made weekly payments for my savings account until I was able to get another job and whatnot. So things will happen. Remember, life is a risk, regardless of the situation. The debt principle is alive and well in the United States of America. That's just how the U.S. economy works. So love it or hate it. That I know there's a lot of people giving flack about this specific program, and I'm just like, well, no one's forcing you to do it, but this is an opportunity. But you have to be the adult in the room and do your own freaking research. That's just what it is. But when she's talking about lower risk, I mean, there being a higher risk, I'm like, yeah, well, that's usually how it goes. If you put more money down, that means there's a lot of times there's lower risk. But if you don't even have the money to begin with, then that's another story. But remember, this money is supposed to be used for you closing. It's not something you're going to be able to utilize personally and whatnot and say, well, I only got to put down $2,000 so I get to keep the rest of it. My research, that's not going to be the case. All right, so we'll just go from there. Last but not least, borrower qualifications. Bank of America offering required borrowers to have certification from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development and Counseling to qualify. In the past, the bank has had to deal with source loans inherited from Countrywide Financial Corporation, which was accused of failing to properly verify and analyze borrowers' employment, income, credit information, liabilities, and other data. They stated, we will qualify applicants to confirm they have demonstrated an ability to repay. We don't want to do with this program is in place, is place people in homes they cannot stay in. And to me, that is a good thing. The whole thing is they do not want to put people in homes they know that they can't afford to be in and whatnot. That's another thing. Can you afford the monthly payments? It all boils down to the numbers. So, and that's another thing for the people that live in these areas that are going into, these situations, especially in like a Miami and especially in a Los Angeles and whatnot. You're going to be able to prove that you can make the payments. But if you can afford to pay rent in LA, you should be able to afford to pay a mortgage in Los Angeles. So I just put it like that, okay? Also, they stated the applicants, they want to qualify applicants to confirm that they have demonstrated an ability to repay any specific loans that are out there. That as far as any anything outstanding, because you're supposed to not have any crazy collections. You're not supposed to have any tax liens, things of that nature. Outside of having a low credit score, you're not supposed to have any crazy, outrageous debts and things of that nature. I know more information will come out as the program is fully implemented. Applicants don't need to disclose their race, the article says, and U.S. Census data will be used to determine that eligible neighborhoods are predominantly Black and Hispanic. There's no minimum or maximum loan size under the new offering, which qualifies as a federal deposit insurance corporation special purpose credit program. Separately, Bank of America announced a lending program to help small businesses owned by minorities and women. Historically, disadvantaged borrowers will be able to apply for down payment grants of as much as $25,000 to help with commercial real estate purchases, according to a statement. Initially, properties must be in opportunity zones like Atlanta, Chicago, Charlotte, Dallas, and Los Angeles. The program is slated for expansion next year in 2023. So this is another opportunity for my business people. If you live in opportunity zones or whatnot, if you want to purchase commercial real estate, this is something definitely to look into, family. So, get with your people and see what happens and be able to go from there. But I think this is going to be interesting, and we'll just see what happens and go from there. Let me know in the comment section if you live in any of those areas, Los Angeles, if you live in Miami, Dallas, Detroit, all that good stuff. And let me know if you're going to look into actually getting involved with this program, because I look at it as an opportunity, but you have to do the homework, do your research, and go from there. And it's not going to be 100% what you want, but most things in this life isn't. That's why most people don't like their jobs. But I'll leave it at that. So do the great thing for things, like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you guys have a great day. And as I always say, make money move, so you're going to live, bro, like a fool. Take care, family.